Okay, so let's talk about Sagittarius season, everybody's favorite time of the year. I mean, even if you're not a Sag, you probably like this time because it always accompanies the holidays. You know, right around the time of Thanksgiving, usually includes, actually, I think it always includes Thanksgiving if we're going by the sun ingress, but it goes up to and ends, interestingly enough, just before Christmas. And, I have something to say about that, which we'll add, and we'll probably talk a little bit more about in December. But we are going into Sagittarius season, and so it's always a fun time of year. And this is where it's like one of those times of year, Mandy, that really like when I step back and I look at like how the sun goes through each of the 12 signs, it has like a flavor for each season. Like, high summer, of course, was is when it's in Leo. It always feels like, at least here in the northern hemisphere, it's like the sunniest time. It's the time when the heat is the most stable, and usually there's very little rain. It's, good time to go to the beach and have a cookout and different things like that. While we're on the topic of fire signs, when Aries rolls around in spring, I mean, literally it is the start of spring. And we go from this sort of like almost like winter just can't go, it can't end soon enough, but it feels like it's going to go on forever and ever and ever. And that's what happens in late February and the early March with Pisces. But then Aries comes along, it's like this huge rush of energy and renewal, and spring comes up. Literally, we see things shooting up out of the ground, insects and plants and different things like that. But then we have Sagittarius season, and I always like Sag just has its own flavor, its own vibe. And if you're Sagittarius, you probably already know what I mean. But if you don't, like just pay attention to it. I really, really, Mandy and I really invite you to pay attention to it because around, I mean, the key is, of course, here in the United States and much of the Western world, we're going into the holidays, we're going into Christmas. And so there's this whole like kind of ethos that like just takes over. And so there's a lot of celebration, celebratory energy, a lot of festive things going on. Obviously, it's a big time for shopping. So we think of these Sagittarius Jupiter ruled themes. Jupiter is like the ruling planet because every planet there's always a rulership between the planets and the signs, at least here in this solar system, right? So Jupiter is associated with Sagittarius, but there's this very like expansive, like big, fun, celebratory energy typically that goes with Sagittarius. And it's almost like too much of a good thing, or at least it can feel that way after a while. Things like eggnog and the ugly sweater parties that we do, and all the holiday decorations, Christmas lights, all the, kitschy holiday displays that people put up in their yards, the thousands of lights they put on their homes and all. But all this is like, it really, really goes with the season of Sagittarius. And so just watch for it because it's coming and like you can never miss it. So this year, sun goes into Mandy's lap.
I feel like it's already here. I'm like, I was telling you earlier, it's like I got all my stuff down on Saturday after Halloween, and it's like, normally I don't do it this early,
Well,
but
there might be a reason for that, which, by the way, Halloween's also becoming like it's not like Halloween is never going to be Christmas, but it is sort of developing its own ethos too. And it always really seems to coincide really, really well with the Scorpio energy,
Mhm.
interestingly enough, which, it's Scorpio deals with death and, sort of like the veil lifting between worlds and Halloween and all that. But we're not talking about Scorpio right now. We're talking about Sag. So Sag is like a very, and it is a really nice contrast to Scorpio though, because Scorpio is a very intense, secretive energy, and it does have sort of this solemn, sort of like morbid energy about it very often that we associate with Scorpio. But Jupiter, Sagittarius is just the opposite. Whereas Scorpio tends to be a little bit more low key, more reserved, more inward focused. Sagittarius is just like wearing it all on your sleeve, out in the open, in your face, loud music, parties, decorations. Like it's just out there. Sag holds nothing back. And
Ah,
that's really the energy of the times. And so that's what we're going into. And you said, Mandy, that you notice we're already in that energy, like you can kind of feel it. Well, it is here early. And I'll tell you why, because we actually just had Mars yesterday, as of the time we made this video, or on November 4th, went into Sagittarius at 8:01 a.m. And so
Oh,
Mars
okay.
in astrology is the masculine. So Mars, women are from Venus, men are from Mars, so to speak. But the masculine is Mars, the feminine is Venus. Rule, but we all have Mars, and so we're all going to be acting out Mars or Martian energy in some way, shape, or form. But for the collective, for the world, Mars went into Sagittarius, and so there is, and I think you're feeling it, Mandy, this sort of like overeagerness to get the festivities going. Like, let's get it started, y'all. Let's like party on.
I feel like that is also like what I'm seeing, like at least on social media, like so many people who are like, I posted something about this on Halloween where it's like the trick-or-treaters like come to the Halloween door and they open the door for the candy and it's like the whole house is like the Christmas tree and the lights and like, and the woman's like, this is how they're gonna be greeted. Like, I'm already ready for Christmas. So I don't know. I just see that like I mean, probably it's my algorithm, I guess, but
Yeah, I think you're onto it though. I think there
it's,
is something to do with the Mars energy going on here though. That
yeah.
I mean, have you noticed like sometimes some years it does seem like it starts earlier. I mean, I guess Christmas always is starting earlier and earlier. Like, I mean, where are we back to? Like April now, and they're putting up like some
Not just,
reminders
yeah, they
of
were, yeah,
don't forget to buy
that's
your
true.
presents and here, buy a couple extra lights too. And here's some yard decorations and things like that. But yeah,
True.
it when we get planets, and I don't mean, so the sun is always a signifier of kind of like the general season, but, going by Venus and going by Mars and going by other planets, we'll sort of get that flavor. And when they happen earlier, like when they show up before the sun moves into the sign, we will sometimes get that kind of lead energy on it. And so with Mars showing up so early in the month in November, Mars is already in Sagittarius. It's not always in Sagittarius actually when we have the sun in Sagittarius. So we don't always get that extra boost coming from Mars, but this year we get it. I feel like, I mean, I'm just gonna say it. I think this has just been a year where I feel like we need it. So I think
Mhm.
everybody's eager to kind of like, hey, let's look for some holiday cheer here. We could all use a boost. And so we're
Yeah.
gonna get that and then some. And so that's gonna be Mars is gonna be in Sagittarius the entire month. But then
Oh.
yeah, which is really cool.
Do you
Another,
think
go
that's
ahead, go ahead.
why, because it's in Mars and Mars is masculine, do you think that does that explain or help explain why they're like the feeling I get is like urgency around getting things like set up and in place. So it's like
Yeah,
people,
big
it's
time.
not just like, oh, we want to enjoy everything. It's like we want to get it done. Like we want to get the tree. How early can I get my tree? Can I, or I'm like, can I
Spot
get
on.
am I gonna get like another tree? I'm like, maybe put a tree in my little office space over
You're gonna get
there.
10
Like a
trees.
tree next to my tree and my other tree. And my other, like, how many trees can I have?
Yeah, as many
But
as you can get,
it
as many
does
as you
feel
can
like
grab,
that,
as many as you can get
you
from
know?
the lot. I mean, actually, you can, with that kind of energy, you can go out into the woods somewhere and probably chop down 10. And I'm not saying do
Right.
that, but I'm also like, yeah, that's like, it's like, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's get it on,
Yes.
let's go for it.
Even to that point, we just watched Christmas Vacation like a couple nights ago. Like speaking on pulling a tree out of the ground, but I was like, I don't remember ever like Christmas movies this early. I'm like, am I gonna rewatch them in December? What are we doing right now? But it's like I
You
want
might.
to do it. But it's more around like for me personally, it's like wanting to take action on getting things ready so that I can have a longer experience of enjoying and like celebrating and you know.
That would make sense, Mandy. It actually, I mean, I think it's perfect that it's playing out this way. Again, being this awesome year that 2025 is, I think we need and really want some of that energy, and we've got it.
We need 2 months of celebration, not one
Yeah.
month. And January, part of January.
Well, and I won't get so much into my Pluto talk here, but there was a time, and like everybody who's watching this video, I mean, I'm sure you experienced the Pluto and Sagittarius energy though, and like, well, I wish I miss Pluto and Sagittarius actually because it was like, on the whole, it was a very festive atmosphere, and like, yeah, of
Oh,
course, there's always like, sad and deadly and unfortunate things that happen in the world. But it did give you kind of like this energy of like hope, of possibility, of like, this like the world then just seemed like it had no boundaries, which is totally sad. Like there were no limits. And Pluto is this sort of like essence of power itself. And so power will show up in a way that just, doesn't respect boundaries. And I'm not saying like dealing with narcissism, whatever like that. That's a different topic. But as far as like building things, creating things, doing out in the world, and it's like it was almost like Christmas year round in a sense. I
Yeah.
mean, when I was, in those times, I felt like, I mean, well, for one thing, and my favorite thing to talk about is my fiance often, she's like, oh, here comes, yeah. She's like, John's joking about this again. Oh, we're going to talk about the 24-hour stores, but uh, yeah,
I
but I
was
mean,
like,
but
so when you had hair, like what was what is so exciting?
yeah,
That's
but
right.
that
You
was,
do talk a lot about those 24-hour
I
stores.
know,
So
I know,
I
I
I
do. Yeah.
get it. But that
Sorry,
was the
Susie.
whole thing. It was like going to the mall and being out late and
Oh,
like you
yeah,
could
yeah.
find like good, you could find things to do that were not like, am I gonna get in trouble? Am I gonna get robbed? Am I gonna get hurt? Like now it's like, let's get in our houses. The
At
sun's
like
down,
nine
you know?
o'clock, the sidewalks are rolling up. I mean, even the
Yeah.
bars, like, I mean, we have last call here in
Maybe we're
Ohio.
old, but
Yeah,
I don't think I think it really was a different time back then.
it
Yeah.
was. But yeah, I miss it. But yeah, like the bars here, like, I mean, before, and it's interesting though, before the pandemic, I'm going
Yeah.
off on a tangent, but it feels like the pandemic was a really hard reset for us though, which,
Yeah.
it's, we can get on that soapbox, but here in Ohio, they were actually looking at extending last call out till 4:30 a.m. at one point. And yeah, I know it's
Oh,
crazy. Like for
God.
special events, political conventions, something major going on in town, big celebrations and
New
all.
Year's
But I
Eve or
say
something.
that because like nowadays, like I mean, bars are closing up well before 2:30 a.m. in the morning here in Ohio, And I'm not saying like, I mean, of course, drink responsibly if you drink or anything like that. I'm not saying like being out all night is the ideal, but also like, there's just something, as you said, Mandy, it was just a different time. It felt like, I mean, like I remember going with my sister to Walmart and Giant Eagle here in the middle of the morning, like 2 a.m. in the morning. Then we go to like IHOP, and like none of that's open now. Like I don't think
Yeah.
there's a single IHOP in the city that's open. None of the stores that were open 24 hours were open. It was like, hey, I can just go shop in the middle of the night, and you see people in there like 3 a.m. in the morning, and they're walking around like it's 3 o'clock in the
Yeah.
afternoon. It's
For
like, what do
the
you? What
nurses and people like
yeah,
that.
and there are people like legitly that, yeah, as you
That's their
said,
job.
nurses, doctors, people who work in warehouses who, they get off at like 3 a.m. in the morning. Like they
Yeah.
probably just don't want to go to bed right away. They have like
No, they're
that's their
like, no.
life. They need to shop and all.
Yeah.
But Sag rules late nights. It rules like kind of this expended, nah, I say expended, but like this sort of like expanded like sense of like, the round the clock society, 24-hour society. So when Pluto was there, that was a very, very real thing. I think as Pluto has moved on from Sagittarius, past Capricorn now, and we had the big pandemic reset. I think we'll
Mhm.
see less of that, unfortunately. I miss that. I know, I'm sad. I'm sad because, but I also get it. Like, I mean, obviously, maybe you're not a person that wants to work late. Maybe you can't, but also we're in this sort of scarcity place where, a lot of stores, a lot of companies are finding out that, it is becoming problematic to keep their doors open late at night when they have to worry about shrinkage, people, coming in the stores and walking off with a bunch of merchandise and things like that.
Yeah.
So there's, it's just the climate has changed, and I get that. I'm still hoping somebody will eventually open a 24-hour store. Until then, I guess we have Sheets and Wawa and,
It's you.
Bucky's and gas stations. Gas stations have become the new 24-hour store. All
Yeah,
right,
I guess.
way off topic, but anyway, but not entirely. So one thing we will see during the season, and I believe we'll probably already start to see some hint of that, is that some stores will extend their hours
Mhm.
regardless, though. They won't be open 24 hours, but we always get the holiday extensions that happen where you'll see Target, will typically go until 11, some cases 12 o'clock during the holiday season. Just as one example, Walmart will probably do the same, and we'll see some grocery stores that will also do that. So that Sagittarius effect is still there. It's not as amped up because Pluto's not around anymore, but we will still see kind of an eagerness to get on with that, especially with Mars. And so we might see some lead in from stores. Also, in this environment, I mean, we know the holiday retailers are a little bit concerned because, different things like we're dealing with tariffs and,
Yeah.
faltering economy. They're also going to want to make a bigger play to get people into their stores, to get people in and do some shopping and all. And so they may, I mean, don't be surprised if you see early on before Black Friday and Halloween, yeah, Halloween, but Black Friday after Thanksgiving, that, some of these retailers are doing special things to kind of open up later, special sales, different
I just
things.
saw Black Friday now. When was that? It was maybe the day after Halloween. It was like they had a sign on the window and it was like, don't wait for Black Friday, like just buy stuff now. And I was like, what?
That's totally Mars and Sagittarius, Mandy. It's totally
Okay.
Mars and
Well, it's happening at
Sagittarius.
Ulta. Sorry,
Yeah.
Ulta. I'm outing you. But also, hey, if you love Ulta, go get your Black Friday on for the next 4 Fridays.
Why not? Why not?
I
Yeah.
don't know what the sales are, but I think they have something where it's like special days or weeks or I didn't look at it more than like, oh my God, we're doing that like now. Only November 1st.
Well, Mars is very, very eager to get things started, so the
Yeah.
party is on. But yeah, it's again, is and really like what you said. I think we can all use the cheer. So Sagittarius and in the cycle of things, because there's this whole like zodiac story. Like if you go through all the 12 signs, and my late teacher, Rick DiClemente, really, really, he and his partner Liza, they put together this beautiful story. This is an advertisement for his book, but if you can find it, if it's still in print, which I think it is, go check it out. It's the Exquisite Zodiac. But they wrote this beautiful story about like, the soul's journey through each of the 12 signs. And so, every sign you're like going you're leveling up, you're going into this new space and you're going into this full-on expression of it, so it's just kind of interesting to take in. But I think we need the Sagittarius energy right now though,
Yeah.
because this is the time of the year. I mean, and you and I spoke a little bit earlier about daylight savings time and like how it's dark now. Like, I mean, you go outside and 5 o'clock, it's like, where'd all the light go? Like, I mean, weren't we in summer not too long ago where it was like
Yeah.
light until 8 or 9 o'clock, and now it's dark so early? I mean, I guess it's nice you wake up and the sun's already out, but the days just feel so much shorter. And so it can be kind of gloomy. This is where so many of us get like seasonal disaffective disorder, I guess whatever we call it, where, you just get depressed because there's very, very, very little light out.
Yeah.
But Sag gives us that sort of like hope for the future. Like, this is a dark period. Not, I mean, it is a dark period, but also like
It's a
every
little.
every year every every year we get into this phase where the light dims and there's not a whole lot out. So, we put up our Christmas lights, which, supposedly we get from Martin Luther, put up
Mhm.
candles around trees and all because he was trying to mimic the stars as he was looking at the trees and everything, and he saw the stars behind him, right? Or so the story goes. So we add our own light. So we put out our own decorations. So we do parties and celebrations, Christmas festivities, holiday festivities, different things like that to kind of like celebrate this time of like, we know in faith that things are going to move forward. We are going to get into this period of renewal. We are going to eventually get to, the winter solstice where it's going to be the shortest day of the year, but thereafter the days are going to get longer and longer again. And so Sag always brings that sort of faith and like, there will be a period of rebirth. There will be a period of renewal. Like it's all going to work out in the end. Let's have fun while we wait for it to happen. We're going to
Yeah.
charge into it.
I love this time of year. I know people get all like, I mean, my daughter's like, I'm gonna lay in my bed until it's summertime again. I'm like, okay, I mean, hey, she's not wrong, right? It's like hibernation time, and like, I don't know. For me, I really love it because it's like I personally feel like I'm forced to be in because I don't want to be driving in the dark, walking around in the dark. It's dark, it's cold, like the
Yeah,
visibility's
snow.
not great. Like I love the snow, but I like being like now's the time to be inside. I love the like we're going to bed early, we're laying under a pile of blankets reading books, we're in the bathtub all the time. I like the like we're going to the gym and getting really sweaty, but then we go outside and it's like the contrast of the cold air. So like I personally really, really love this time. It's a great time for planning, like sitting down and being like, okay, well, like we were saying earlier, what do I want to plant so that I can, what do I want to plant come like Aries season? So it's like popping up and then I'm harvesting it at the end of next year. I mean, I
Absolutely.
personally have been doing a lot of like thinking and planning and, okay, maybe it's this, maybe it's that, maybe I add in a little dash of this thing, but, on the path toward a longer game goal. But I like sitting down and like writing it all out. It's like, okay, quarter one of next year, quarter two of next year, quarter three,
Yeah, you're
putting all
sourcing
that.
the Capricorn energy there, Mandy. But no, I mean, it's actually good.
Okay.
Like you have that faith, coming out of Sagittarius, like you're looking ahead, like, yeah, this is what I'm going for. Like I
Hmm.
know, like we're not here now, but this is a time like you really captured it perfectly because it is like, okay, we're in winter. I mean, it's technically late fall. We don't get
Yeah.
into winter until like, the 20th, 21st,
Mhm.
22nd though. But we're observing, we're noticing that a season is ending and we're celebrating it. We're celebrating it rather than being all gloomy and depressed about it. We're celebrating it and, having the Jupiter, Jovian, Sagittarian optimism. We are starting to look ahead, or at least we can take advantage of that. Oh, 2026 is coming. Cool. Well, while I'm sitting here under the blankets, I'm thinking about, well, I know eventually Leo season is going to be back. We're going to be in high summer again. What do I want that to look like? I mean, where do I want to go? I know I
Yeah,
have to like get in
vacation
shape for it.
planning. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
I got to
all of
start
that
working
stuff.
out again. I got to get rid of this stomach. So what am I going to do to get ready for that? So we do start. So vision is also a
Yeah.
key thing for
Yeah.
Sagittarius. Sagittarius is really, really good with vision. They
Mm.
can see far off into the distance. And so this is really, really a great time of year, both for reflection, both for having faith in what's to come, but also seeing that. I mean, basically, the essence of faith is basically seeing things that you can't necessarily put your hand on right
Mhm.
now. You can't necessarily see it with your own eyes, but you know it's there and you know that you're going to work to make it happen or, through faith and, your creator, whatever you believe in that, all this stuff is possible is going to happen though. And so
Mhm.
you're optimistic because there are brighter days coming. Literally, there are brighter days coming around the corner.
Mhm.
So,
Yep.
yeah.
That's so cool. We live in a cool, cool world,
Yes,
even
we
though
do.
it's weird. It's
That's
weird
weird.
and dark, but cool. Wow, it's just strange to be a human.
It
But
is strange to be
lucky
human.
we are, because it's also very fun.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you for watching. Please click subscribe below and follow us. Welcome to our community.